Hello and welcome to this month's Game On Girl Hangout. I'm your host, Regina McMenemy, or Doc Liz. I'm here today with Rhonda, Mark, and Isabella, and hopefully we'll be shortly joined by Ryan. So, hi guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
How's everyone doing this Sunday afternoon?
Not too bad.
Well,
At least tech is working halfway.
halfway, yeah. So many computer problems.
We've had some technical difficulties so far, guys, so that's actually why Ryan isn't here. He's working to get his Hangout up and running as we speak. And Isabella is going to be an ethereal voice joining us from her space since our camera is not cooperating right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Could be the internet, could be my computer, could be any number of things.
Such is the way with the world. We don't always know what's going on. All right. Well, we have some fun topics to talk about this Hangout. We're going to talk a little bit about a very popular movie that just came out a week and a half ago, some TV, some stuff that we're reading, and some games that we're playing. So, yeah, let's get started. Let's start with Rhonda brought up some current events that look like they might be of interest to us and our listeners. So, what do you got for us, Rhonda?
Well, I don't usually do this at the last minute, but I just heard about it, and part of the story, because I've been very unplugged lately, but part of the story to me was just so amusing that I couldn't not bring it up. It was about Twitter's announcement for their Trust and Safety Council, and not just that, but the people who are on the council, and apparently some of the things that Twitter's choosing to do. And I read a couple of articles when I could, just to kind of get a background and figure out what the backlash is and stuff like that. I know that there were some changes early on where Twitter was altering timelines or something like that, and everybody kind of pushed back on that, and they're like, okay. And the idea behind the Trust and Safety Council is that they are wanting to try to control the conversations on Twitter so that there's less abuse. Now that sounds very honorable,
right?
But they have created a council that's sort of, I guess, policing this kind of thing. And we could get into all the details about that, but I don't think that's nearly as important as maybe just talking about what Twitter is or was and what it should be, and whether or not the council has a place in that. It's about social media in general. I mean, it's a real conundrum.
Yeah.
I don't know the statistics on the nationalities of the majority of the people that are on Twitter. I could probably guess that most of them are Americans, but if we just consider the internet society, if we just consider the internet as its own community, I think one of the main things everybody expects there is freedom of speech. But that's a very complicated phrase, freedom of speech. Also, you pair that with Twitter is a private organization, is a private company. They can do anything they want.
Right.
I mean, they're the ones that's investing money, making money. That's what their job is. They are a business. And they can make that business anything they want.
And
but
as Facebook has proved, they can change the terms of service and privacy and whatever it is that they want to do with it. They can change that as wanted and as needed. And there's no regulations about that. That's part of all this, I think, too, is kind of the newness of social media and addressing these issues, because there's no history. That's part of the problem, is there's no history for this kind of socializing.
Yeah.
So the laws aren't aimed at this.
Well, and also, do we want laws? You know, do we want laws about speech? Do we want, and also, I mean, people would argue that the internet is an entirely different territory anyway. It's the individual's territory. It's our territory. It's not the government's territory. It's not a business's territory. But at the same time, we enjoy commerce on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We've embraced that. But it's the same thing. If you come into our house, this is the way our house is run. So if you're gonna create a social media business on the internet, you are entering the internet community. You're entering the internet environment.
Right.
So, like
and
you
willfully
said, there's
voluntarily.
Yeah, there's expectations. You know, everybody expects to have creative freedom and no rules, but at the same time, there is no precedence, like you said,
right.
About the extremes that social media has allowed.
Right, and well, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I keep trying to think about it like. I'm not sure how I feel. I have to read more about the Trust and Safety Council and their plans and what they're going to do and how they're going to handle things. Because I think it's a good idea to bring awareness to the power words have and the power Twitter can have, especially in terms of the women who, or people, you know, because it's not just women who get harassed on Twitter. But the women, you know, anybody who gets harassed on Twitter, I think it should be brought to attention that this can be and is a problem. And so I was trying in my mind to think about Twitter. Okay, you have 140 characters, right? And so your freedom of speech is you can do whatever you want with those 140 characters, right? Who cares? You know, who's listening, who wants to listen, whatever. Those are your 140 characters. But what's the difference between those 140 characters that you just have and you just express and when you @message someone with like all caps or, you know, messages of hatred or rape threats or whatever else it might be, the equivalent of that in the offline world is stepping up into somebody's face and screaming at them. You know, so how do we reconcile those two? Those are two completely different things, and that's what I think, you know, becomes the problem when you want to jump to, we can't police people on Twitter because we're impeaching their freedom of speech. Well, you know, you can't walk up on the street and scream in somebody's face. You can't follow somebody around and tell them you're going to rape them in the real world.
You can walk up to, it is not illegal to walk up to someone and scream in their face. It is a police concern if you threaten someone with physical harm.
Right.
And I think that's where it gets very, very, very confusing, because I don't think Twitter or any social media company as a business has a responsibility to police that. They are not policemen.
Right.
So that's why the whole thing is so incredibly confusing, is because the internet does not have any police, and it's almost impossible to do because of the volume.
Just the amount of people who are on it.
The amount of messaging that's going on.
Yeah.
And the leniency at which people are given to use words as recklessly and with abandon as that they are.
Right.
That to me is where the line is really drawn. Is where you have a difficulty is with the physical threats that would in real life involve legal action.
And that's where it, like, you know, when you read the accounts of people who have been harassed on Twitter and in social media situations, you know, and they go to the police are like, just turn your computer off. You know? Yeah. And it's like, well, that doesn't take the fear away of people who have found their phone numbers and found their addresses and who have, you know, all this personal information on. They have, you know, it's crossed those lines. We can't just say that anymore, because that is what's happened is people get what's called doxed, right, where all their personal information gets put publicly, and, you know, all this kind of stuff, and their parents' phone numbers are passed out, and, you know, all this other kind of crazy stuff happens. So there has to be something, and there has to be some way to address all of that hasn't happened. And I guess that would be what, if I'm going to come back and say something, that's what I'm going to say. I don't know. I can't say, like I said, I haven't read the article, so I don't know what Twitter is doing necessarily with this Trust and Safety Council, but I'm glad they're talking about it.
Well, my personal feeling is this. It is a free speech situation up until the point where somebody is threatened. I don't think there's any room for anybody to be threatened by anyone. However, if somebody wants to get on Twitter or Facebook or wherever and spew whatever stupid filth falls from their head about hating any group or whatever, that's their right. If you're bugged about it, then don't look at it. If you're somebody who is on social media and you're going to, I'm just throwing Anita Sarkeesian up here because she's part of their Trust and Safety Council. You're somebody like her who stands up and waves a banner that's going to piss off somebody on the opposite end of the spectrum. You have to understand that you are going to get people screaming back at you. It's just like celebrities, when they become a celebrity, they have to put up with people, contacting them and bugging them in their personal life. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Once you've made yourself some sort of celebrity, which she has, there's no two ways about it, you're going to get stuff like that. Now, does anybody have the right to threaten her? No, not at all. But they have the right to say whatever they want to her against what she says. And that's not saying that I'm against her one way or the other. But,
So we're talking about individual opinions, whether they be smart, intelligent, relevant, stupid, idiotic, extreme. We ought to be able to have a conversation even with stupid people or have disagreements. That nobody's opinion should be edited.
Exactly. And if you want to say that's the case, I don't know how much protection Twitter has or Facebook has as a private company, but maybe the ACLU gets involved, because you say, oh, well, it's okay for me because I'm liberal to, spout my liberal beliefs, but this guy over here who's a right-wing guy is saying something that I don't agree with and I find offensive, so we need to censor him. You can't do that. There's nowhere to draw the line. The only way to draw the line really is, are you physically threatening somebody? Are you putting them in fear of their life or threatening to harm them anyway? That's about the only way I think you can really brass tacks say this is where the line is. You can't cross it.
I agree, and I also think that is what is happening, is that people are getting threatened and their personal information is being shared, and then they're being targeted and they're being told by different groups or whatnot to say, this person deserves this kind of attention, and that's crossing several lines as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's you, but if it's another thing if it's like you have a small group of passionate people who have this belief that this person is bad and what they're saying is bad, and then you have them tell all of their friends, and they tell all of their friends, and then they're all screaming in all caps and on your Twitter at you for what you said.
Hey, it's unpleasant.
That's okay. They can scream. I mean, if you're making a statement.
I'm all about open discussions. I'm all about people having their own points of view. I'm not good with people who constantly say this person needs to be raped because they have this point of view.
No, and that's
distasteful.
Yeah,
no,
and that's not Twitter. It's not Twitter's responsibility, though. What the people who are failing here is the police, like you mentioned earlier, our judicial system that's saying that's their problem. They are not approaching this issue with any seriousness. They're keeping their hands off because they're saying, "Hey, just turn your computer off." They're obfuscating as long as they can.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, Mark, because you used a key word, I think, on the other side of the argument. Well, I sure as hell don't want the government any more involved, but our legal system needs to be more involved. But you use the word offended. It's like, you know what?
Too bad.
It is the key. It is the go-to word if you want to stop a discussion if you want to stop someone's expression, if you want to stop someone's opinion, you say, oh, that offends me. It's like, you know what, get over it.
Yeah. The people in this country have gotten to be a little too...
pussy?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say, for lack of a better term. It's, it's like, when I grew up, you had to learn that sticks and stones, break your bones, but words don't hurt me.
Yeah, not just that, but I don't think that if you don't have a strength of conviction, then you are going to be easily offended.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a sense of insecurity there. If you're so easily offended, if your security is so delicate that somebody else's words are going to topple that they are people that are easily stirred by a gust of wind.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? You need a fortitude of character here.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to...
It seems to me like people will put themselves in that situation on purpose, even though they say they don't want that. They get online to specifically pick a fight.
Yep.
And it becomes a control issue because they can't see this person in person, and then they just it ramps up. They just get more angry.
Yeah. Because
there's nothing they can do about it but sit there and type away their anger, and it just escalates.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had somebody on the Game on Girl website, which I was actually very excited about, that they tried to post a comment, apparently, to one of our writers' articles, and the system failed. Well, we've learned just recently that Squarespace has been screwing us over on comments for ages anyway. Ages. We have so much problem with that. Ages. So they took to their website. What?
I said I'm very angry.
Yes. They took to their website and wrote this scathing post about us, blocking them, deleting their comments, throwing out words about Gamergate and social justice and all this bunch of stuff. And I went to his site and I said, look, we don't have enough followers to block anybody. I said, if you wanted to write a comment, computers fail all the time. I said, I am more than happy to have your comments on our site because we don't ever get any. And so it's like, we're not going to block anybody. And so I wrote him a long message. I was like, you're making some really great points. I think that you kind of fall down in this area, but, I'm with you on this. And then he seemed to be responding reasonably for a little while, but then he just took a tangent, and it was obvious that's what he wanted to do, exactly what you're saying, Ryan. He wanted to fight about this. He wanted to have a cause. He wanted to rant about Gamergate or whatever the hell was going on at the time, and just threw us in there with it.
Yeah.
And we had
a lot of it is it's probably attention,
Oh, yeah.
You don't know what these people go through in their regular lives, and maybe they just need that outlet, on an emotional scale. I mean, it may not be right, but that's probably one of the causes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think that's one of the things, too, that makes the discussion of social media and this kind of safety and thinking about harassment and thinking about what it means when you are on Twitter and you're talking to people is part of what makes it so complicated. Anytime you have human beings involved, it's going to be complicated because that's just what happens is everybody's got their own point of view and everybody has their own experience, and that's what I constantly say is wrong, or the issue that I have with Anita Sarkeesian's analysis in general is that, I can understand reading games as a text, which is what she does. She looks at games like they're a book. Okay. The problem is that games are not books. They are interactive, and people attach to games in a way that they don't attach to literature because they experience them in a different way. And you can't take that piece out of the equation. And it's just like you can't take the people out of the equation of Twitter, or there's no reason for Twitter.
Right.
Yeah. And there's additional responsibility there with parents.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I mean, I've seen some things recently where women have found the parents of some of these trolls and said, "This is what your son sent me," and the mom's like, "I'm going to take care of this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that too. That's like one of my favorite things that has come out of this. Like, I'm going to talk to your mom.
And that's about all it would take, because they're a lot of these people, number one, they don't give value to the meaning of words, of what they say, and number two, they're just misbehaving.
Yeah.
They're just misbehaving.
Well, and it goes right back to, what Mark and Ryan talked about on the very first episode of the show that they were on, Secret Geek Shame, episode 5, from 3 years ago now, where we're talking about don't say online what you won't say to someone's face. Like, if you are not comfortable saying this face-to-face to somebody, don't say it to them on Twitter. Don't say it to them on Facebook.
I will point out that in our society as of late, there's a lot of people who wouldn't be afraid to say a lot of the shit they say on Twitter.
Well, yeah, that is definitely changed.
Yeah, and the last,
How about if you wouldn't say it to your mom? You shouldn't say it to somebody else.
Yeah. Hey,
maybe they don't respect their mothers either.
Yeah.
Is Isabella still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what do you got to say? Bring it home.
Well, I think part of it is a complete lack of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it goes back to that, like, if you wouldn't say it in front of your mother, maybe don't say it at all. There's no repercussions. You can go on the internet and say whatever you want, tell whatever lies you want, and there's no repercussions, really. Someone might block you, but what is that? You can just make a new account and harass someone over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, there's just no, I think the internet world is just, it's totally different in that way. And I think that's just something that we're adjusting to and still trying to figure out the rules. And that's, I mean, something like this, the Trust and Safety Council is sort of a step in the right direction, but I think they're gonna have some missteps along the way.
Right. Well,
as we're trying to figure out.
And they have to figure out how to do it in a way that doesn't discount people's experiences. And that's always the danger when you have a council, any kind of council that's given any kind of power. You have to address the people that are involved in it. And this is a massive group we're talking about, because we're talking about however many people use Twitter, which I have no idea how, like Rona said, I don't know the demographics and I don't know the statistics, but that's a lot of people on Twitter. So
yeah. Well, and I would only slightly disagree with you, Isabella, as far as the internet is new, but the way that people are acting is not.
Right. Exactly.
Lying about people, trying to discredit them, stab them in the back, ruin their reputation. That is not new at all.
No, but the rules surrounding that is a little bit. We're still not caught up to.
No, that's exactly right.
Because in real life, you have laws against libel and slander, and you can put out a restraining order against someone, and the justice system isn't really caught up to a point where it takes anything on the internet seriously.
Yeah, but for the majority, the majority of lies and slander that goes on, no legal action is ever taken. No. I mean, we have all experienced it. I've experienced it. Where, I mean, there was one year in college, my life was a living hell because someone spread one little lie about me. One. And, I mean, I couldn't do anything. I was constantly harassed. That doesn't go to the police. That's just girls being mean.
Yeah, I think part of it is also the scale of how big things can get out of control on the internet.
Yes.
I mean, like, one group of people
that is the key
in an isolated instance is a lot different than this entire movement that comes out of nowhere to harass certain people.
Well, the other big difference between real life and the internet is one word: anonymity.
Exactly. That's part of the accountability.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody can spread, bullshit about you in real life. More than likely, you're going to be able to trace back to where it came from. On the internet, good luck.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like you said, Isabella, accountability. We don't have any accountability. You don't have any real easy way to track somebody down who's lying about you or spreading anything about you. So.
Yeah. And scale. That's another good word, Isabella.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think probably is overwhelming to the judicial system is the scale and then the anonymity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Curious. Anyway.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it evolves.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows how I feel about social media anyway, so I'm not surprised or disappointed. Well, so are we about 50-50 on who all saw Deadpool?
I think we're at about 60% in this group.
Brian, you've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, yeah, go for it, guys.
So what's the just thumbs up, thumbs down then, Ryan?
I would thumbs up. I mean, it was, me personally, I enjoyed it, but, if I would have been sitting next to somebody that was under the age of 16, I would have, been cringing a bit.
Did anybody who went to the theater to see it have kids in the theater under 16?
No. Nope.
I did.
I went at midday on a Tuesday, so...
I went at like 11:30 on a Saturday, and there were little kids in there.
Little kids?
Yes.
Like,
it was little kids.
Okay, that's just...
It's just...
Yeah.
I like any movie. Probably don't drag little kids to...
Yeah.
What about you, Mark? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs way up Main Street.
Yep. Thumbs up. They did it right from the absolute first note.
Yep, absolutely. The opening credits, like, I wasn't paying attention for like the first moment of the opening credits, and everybody started laughing. I was like, "What the hell did I miss?" I looked up at the actual lettering, and was like going, "Oh, nice."
Fantastic. It was fantastic.
And I think we should give spoiler warnings now. We will be talking about this movie in some detail. And Isabella and Regina already signed off on us talking in front of them, so nobody worry.
Yeah.
But
it's an experience.
Yeah, it is the thing that I loved about it, and I actually didn't realize why I was so in love with it until I heard I was watching Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man on Batman, last night, and they were reviewing it, and he brought up the great point that, this is a movie for us, for the adults. It's not some PG-13 pile of shit that they lump together to get more kids in the theater. And because it's done so well, now maybe the studios are going to realize, hey, guess what? Adults will pay good money to go see a movie that's targeted towards them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally agree with that, and I think that's one of the reasons I've been so in love with it, since I started seeing the trailers and stuff, months and months ago. So...
Well,
Ryan, what do you think they got right?
Well, I came into Deadpool completely knowing nothing about Deadpool, so it was a completely fresh experience for me all around. I mean, I had heard some stuff about him, and, I like Ryan Reynolds as an actor, but, I look at it as a technical guy, so, like, checking it out, so, like what you guys were saying about the opening credits, I was just blown away by the way that they put that together. Mm-hmm. And the comical part of them putting in the fake names for the opening credits. It was a good time. It didn't take itself so seriously, so I didn't take it so seriously, and I wasn't overjudging the movie at any point in time. I just sat down and enjoyed the ride, and it was a fun ride.
That's a great description.
One of the things I loved about it too was I've been invested in seeing this movie for probably 6 months or more now, and so normally I don't like to do it, but I've been so enthralled. I've been watching the trailers and all the like 30-second ones and theatrical trailers and all that, and you do see almost all of the really good gags in the movie in the trailers, but and I hate that normally because I normally feel like, oh, I've seen the whole movie just by watching the trailers. But the context around those little bits of scenes that they showed made them even funnier. That was one of the things I loved. It's like I felt like, wow, I hope they have a lot more of this movie because I feel like I've seen all the punchlines and all the cool action sequences, but once you see them in context, they're that much better. So that was.
I noticed
awesome.
that too. I totally agree. That was a pleasant surprise in that they paid enough attention to tease the viewers enough, but then surprise us in the film, knowing the way that trailer. I noticed the exact same thing, and I thought it was brilliant. It was wonderful. It's definitely a movie I say you should see in the theater and in a crowded theater because it's an experience. It's a gut-busting, fun time.
And you knew what you were in for right from the opening credits. When that's what drew my eye to the screen was everybody was laughing at the credits. So it's like, what the hell did I miss? And you start seeing the names come up, and you're like going, oh, this is great. You know, the whole theater's all but laughing.
It set the context. Everybody already knew, yes, this is the movie I was coming to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Unfortunately, the crowd I saw it with did not laugh. My wife and I were definitely the loudest people in the theater, and I was okay with that. But yeah, it was mostly older people, so.
That's
I think they were going to see a superhero movie, and they weren't quite sure what they got.
They were hoping for their PG-13 schlockfest, and
yeah, I don't know. It makes me wonder if people even pay attention to ratings anymore. They just see the advertising in the poster and well, the preview was on television. It must be okay.
No, I think it's actually. I think they actually literally think that it's just going to be a PG-13 movie like every other superhero movie's been.
Oh, I agree.
I don't think anybody pays attention to the ratings anymore.
No. I totally agree with Ryan because I don't know whether anybody read or saw Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah.
I saw the original movie.
Yeah. Well, I went into the theater to see the I guess it was the new Daniel Craig version, and it's like entire family. I'm talking about grandma on down to teenage boy. It was like 6 of them came in to watch it, and we looked over at them and were like, "Oh my God!" And they got them left.
Yeah.
I was like, "What the hell do you know about this movie that you would think that this is a family good time hour to go spend?" You know? Oh, so stupid.
Well, I think that is the problem. I think people don't pay attention to the ratings anymore. I don't know.
Well, but like, how much meaning does a rating have anymore?
Well,
on that movie?
I don't. That's part of the problem. But
and our rating can be anything from like they said 2 F words to Deadpool, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deadpool earned the hell out of their rating. And it was awesome. Every minute of it was glorious.
Yes.
Well, when I went to go see The Hateful Eight in the theater, my wife and I were sitting next to an older couple that must have gone just because they thought it was a Western. And at the end, the lady looks over at my wife and I and goes, "Well, that was interesting." And we both look at her and go, "Well, you know, it was a Tarantino film." And she goes, "What's that?" And
Oh my God.
well, never mind. I mean, you don't go see a Quentin Tarantino movie unless you want to see, you know, gratuitous blood exploding out of people and language and, you know, racial slurs here and there. It's just that's the type of movies he makes.
Yes. That's I mean,
point.
Common knowledge. Just common knowledge. That's what it is. Did you like Hateful Eight, Brian?
I liked it. It wasn't my favorite Tarantino film, but you know, like I was telling other people, I'd like to see it again before I make my final judgment. You know, it's kind of one of those things. You go in with an expectations game a little bit because you've seen all the other movies that he's done, and it was gorgeous. I mean, cinematography was amazing. They did some really cool, like old Western style stuff, really long shots, and really neat camera tricks. And I mean, as a geek, I appreciate that.
The really long camera shots of a stagecoach for 10 minutes because they realized they're going to be in a cabin the rest of the time.
Right, exactly.
What's your favorite Tarantino then?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I would probably have to. I mean, Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Bastards, and Django. I think it would be an even split between those three movies. I just think the actors and the writing and it's just they're really smart. They're hard to watch because I don't swear like a sailor and spit out racial slurs every other word. But as a film, if you're prepared for that when you go into it, I think they're good movies.
Yeah.
I
love Inglourious Bastards.
I think that Hateful Eight is kind of a return to form for him. It was more along the lines of Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. That being said, there was one scene in the movie that even I felt was too much, and
wow,
yeah, it was just a bit much. It was a very violent movie in the first place, but there was one area of the violence that I thought was so over the top and so harsh that I couldn't believe that he decided that it was a good idea to film it that way. I mean, yes, it's Tarantino, but still, it's a bit much.
Wow.
Did you see it?
Do you know what? I haven't seen it yet. Do you know what scene he's talking about, Ryan?
I don't. I'm not.
It's the scene where
we might have had the conversation, but
it's the scene where you find out what happened to the people that were actually supposed to be at the way station.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I didn't like that. That scene. Yeah, the violence was a bit much, but just that scene in particular was the worst part of the movie, I guess, if there was a worst part. Just the acting was weird. It was just a weird flashback, and I didn't like how it fit into the film.
Mm-hmm. I didn't mind having the scene there, but okay, spoiler. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Basically, what happens is that you find out that these guys came to this place to bust somebody out of somebody else's custody, and they have to basically take over this way station, and to do it, they kill everybody that's there. And there's I think 6 people there, and the way they go about it and how much they sit on that scene or the individual shots of that scene, I don't know if you know who Zoe Bell is. She's the one who played or who was Uma Thurman's stunt double in Kill Bill, and she was also in Death Proof.
Death Proof.
Yeah, she played herself in Death Proof, and
she was also in Django as well. And
yeah, at any rate, she's really sweet in the scene, and just a really nice girl. And they shoot her, and she's not the only one, but and they kind of do this. I think they did it kind of to both the young girls, where they shot them. The girls are kind of lying on the ground, wheezing and begging for help, and then just kind of put another one in them, and it's like, I didn't need to see that, and they could have done a flashback to explain what happened without going that far, and it could have been a lot quicker too. So
it was a long movie. It was almost 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, if you'd cut some of those scenes of the of the carriages, you would have gotten it down to 2.5 hours easy.
Yeah.
And there are times that Tarantino, I think, can be long-winded. He likes his words.
Yeah, he's a dialogue director for sure.
And I'm okay with that. I actually really like long movies. I like a movie that I can go and I can sit down and watch for 3 hours, as long as it's really well done, and I don't feel like I have extraneous garbage being thrown in there to fill up the time.
If I'm having a good time, I totally agree. If you've got a 3-hour story, do it. And that swinging around, that's the way Deadpool was. I was disappointed when it was over.
Yeah, me too. I was like, they could have easily done another 20 minutes and I would have been just fine.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that they cut part of the budget the last minute or something, and they had to make do. So I think they intended it to be longer, actually.
That would have been fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was shocked it was as short as it was.
Yeah, I don't think they would have run out of gags. There's just no way. and they were smart about it. You can't have that kind of comedy. You can't have that kind of energy and power without smart writing. I mean, there was just a lot of smarts involved in that. It's not just crass to be crass.
So, what did you think of the damsel in distress bit with his girlfriend?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because you have two other female characters in the movie that are, total badasses.
Yeah.
And are pretty much on even playing field with everybody else. And from what I understand of the comics line, that his girlfriend becomes a superhero. I can't remember who it is. I think her name is Copycat.
Yeah, she becomes Copycat.
And is a hero in and of herself. In and of herself, she ends up being a hero. So I thought it was weird that she was so much a damsel in distress. There was a scene in one of the trailers where she actually says, I'm not your typical damsel in distress or something like that, which wasn't in the movie. So I just thought it was really weird that they went that route. I mean, she does have a great scene where she, nails somebody with a pipe or something like that. I can't remember, but
yeah. I don't know. I guess because they set her up at the very beginning as someone who could go toe to toe. I mean, her opening scene with Ryan Reynolds in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like, I can go toe to toe with you. I'm not scared, and you could tell together this is a badass couple.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she got abducted. I mean, part of that is Deadpool. Part of that is Deadpool doesn't care. He does all the stereotypes.
Yeah.
He does all the stereotypes. He demeans women. He calls them chicks. He talks about their bodies. He offends everybody. And so part of that, I think, is kind of fits.
Yeah. And lest Isabella or Regina be offended by that, just keep in mind that he also is used and abused too, and that's also that's part of the joke. Is he takes it just as much as he gives it.
That's what having not been able to get to the movie before the Hangout. I've loved that aspect of the promotion, like the way they're promoting. I think the marketing for this movie has been just outstanding. Not the least of which is just the depth to which Ryan Reynolds is willing to go.
Yeah.
If you're amazed by that with the trailers, you should see some of the stuff he has to do in the movie.
I'm not. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to see it. I can't wait to see exactly what, if that's the level of the marketing and that's the way that's gone. I can't wait to see what the movie actually has to deliver.
It's fun.
Yeah. Sounds like it. It looks like it would be too. So.
Isabella, were you excited to go see it at some point?
Yes. I've actually read like one or two Deadpool comics because I heard about the movie like a long time ago, and I was just curious about his story. And yeah, I love a character that breaks the fourth wall, and that's he does that a lot.
and he is not shy about doing it in the movie either. I mean, he has some great little quips. I mean, not even like a big scene or anything, like just a quip. Like, I think there's one point where Colossus says, we're going to go take you to see Professor X, and he goes, "Ooh, which one, Stewart or McAvoy?" Yeah.
It's so confusing. The timelines are so confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, they are completely irreverent, and they are irreverent at the Marvel world, at the X-Men world, at Ryan Reynolds' other movies.
Yes.
Nobody is safe, including the people involved in the movie.
Yep.
And I love that because sometimes superhero movies can be a little bit too reverent of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Too serious.
Yeah.
Isabella, which comics do you remember that you read? Deadpool.
Oh, I don't remember the names. It was just some like random ones I found at the library, but he was Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised when the last time I was on the Radio Fubar, those guys were extremely familiar with Deadpool's original story in the comics, and I I purchased the digital version. They've got a compilation of Deadpool classics that goes back to his first appearance, and he was like that from the beginning. I mean, from the very beginning, he was an asshole and making jokes, and it's not taking anything seriously and just pissing everybody off. And I like that. I don't know that when they introduced his girlfriend Vanessa, at least in the classic section, I don't know in reality, she was already a mutant. She was already copycat. So it'll be interesting to see where they take that. It'll be at least in the film series. But yeah, I haven't talked to anybody yet who didn't like it. That's 18 or over, so. Or 65 and under.
Right.
Well, we were going to segue into that because Deadpool did release on Valentine's weekend.
It did, yes. Well, they had some, like, promotion, too, that was, like, the most romantic movie of the season.
And it was promoted as a romantic movie, and they spoofed that in the film, which surprised me. And Regina had tossed out maybe talking a little bit about some of our favorite geeky couples. Mine is not very, very exciting, so I can start off with mine. One of my favorite geeky couples is Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese in Terminator.
Terminator, nice.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
That's a good choice. I actually like that very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I wouldn't necessarily say a dark horse, but it wasn't something that leapt to my mind.
It's hard when you just say favorite geeky couple.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of tough, and that relationship was kind of tough because, you know, you've got to throw this romance in there, and you're dealing with time travel, and somehow she's got to give birth to the future ruler and all this bunch of stuff. And I just think I like the way they did it, and it showed her evolution at the same time, that she was this, you know, waitress, and then all of a sudden she became this badass. And and he was part of that transition, and it was just kind of cool. Isabella, do you have one?
Oh my gosh, there's so many tragic couples, and trying to find something that doesn't end sad.
Let me not pick somebody who dies.
But that's the first thing that came to mind.
Well, that's okay.
And it was Zoe and Wash from Firefly.
Oh.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another one. Okay, I have another one that doesn't end horribly. Monroe and Rosalie from Grimm, the TV show.
Oh. Yeah, they're adorable.
They're the cutest.
Yes.
And I like it. And I hope nothing bad ever happens to them because I will be so mad.
Well, as long as Joss doesn't, direct an episode, they'll be okay.
Yeah, no kidding. I was so worried when they introduced those characters early on in Grimm. They were so likable. I'd be curious to know as to whether or not that audience response was the reason those characters developed the way they did, because I just love watching them.
I like how they switch up their roles, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes Moreau is the bit of a damsel, and Rosalie comes and saves him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good couple, actually. What about you, Regina?
I was thinking, well, obviously it was my topic suggestion, so I gave it a lot of thought. I decided to pick somebody who I don't actually watch anymore, unfortunately. Booth and Brennan on Bones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it was actually what kept me watching the last season. I watched it and watched this year's. I'm not sure I finished last year's. I don't know. They're on season 500 now.
Yeah.
It's something like 10 or 11.
Yeah, it's just I love them, but they need to be done with it.
No, yeah, I stopped watching that show after they got together, just because it just kind of.
Part of the appeal of that show in the first place was the tension between the two, and once
Exactly.
it taken away, it's
And I
like
thought
introducing the baby into the show.
yeah, they did pretty well, I thought, for a while, kind of carrying it through. And I think I talked about this on a previous Hangout, but I was only watching that show for like the last 4 minutes of like character development. Anymore, like I got so tired of the, killer of the week thing, that I wasn't really watching it for the show itself anymore, so I stopped. But one of the reasons why I was because I really did love Booth and Brennan together. And I love the other couple on there too, and I can't remember their names at this point. But I was really just watching for that, and then I was like, I just need to be done spending an hour of my week watching a show that I wouldn't really want to watch 4 minutes of. So.
Do you have one, Ryan?
I have 3 that I thought of, and I didn't before I got on, so I just thought of them just now. So I'm going to say Lilu and Corbin from the Fifth
Element. Lilu Dallas multipass.
Excellent choice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Ooh, chica.
Big bada boom.
Yeah. Peter Quill and Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
And then you got to throw in some Mulder and Scully in there,
Yeah, I thought about them too.
They did pop.
But I love the characters that they start off so opposite at the beginning of the story that you're watching, and then at the end it's fun to see how they ultimately develop into a couple, I guess, with the storyline.
Yeah, Lilo and Dallas is a really good one because for a fun kind of, it's almost a kitschy sci-fi movie. That those two characters are really multi-layered, especially in their relationship. That's pretty cool.
Well, and Bruce Willis was doing all the work through the entire movie to become a couple in the first place, and it was really just at the end when he'd given up that she's like, all right, we got to do this to save the world type thing.
Isn't that just like a woman?
I'm not going to answer that question.
That's the way it was in WALL-E.
Ooh, that's a good one too, man. I didn't even think about that one.
That is a good one.
I mean, Eva was just like prime directive, prime directive, prime directive. Scared Wally to death.
It was about halfway through the movie. Once they got on the ship, she was trying to keep him safe the entire time.
What about you, Mark?
Well, I don't know if you guys realize that this was a real hard one for Ryan and I, because I don't think guys think of it like that typically.
Oh, good. I'm glad we pushed your boundaries.
You did. And you actually gave me one while I was listening to you guys talk. I was like, oh yeah, and kind of gave me some of my own thoughts. But the one that I went to straight away when I was told about, think of this, was old school Han and Leia.
Yeah. I was hoping somebody would bring them up too.
Because she's sassy and smart and full of P&V, and he's a smart ass and a scoundrel, and they have to butt heads and everything.
Ooh, scruffy looking.
Exactly. And then I think the one that I came up with while I was listening to you guys, I haven't watched the show in a while, so I don't know where they're at in their relationship, is Fitz and Simmons from
yes.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, it's so painful.
I love watching them in the scenes that they have together, the way the actors actually play off of each other.
Yeah.
I keep want them to get together. And last time I watched was the end of last season. I kind of started picking up watching again this season. I don't do very well at watching episodically. During the regular seasons, you give me the full season on Netflix.
The Netflix experience.
And then I'm good to go. I can keep up with it. I can remember what I don't have to remember what day it's on or what time it's on or what channel it's on. I just go and find it and I watch it.
Yeah. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't think is getting enough feedback because the story is really, really interesting. I think that what they've done with Fitz and Simmons is interesting, and they constantly shock me. And I'm wondering if the first season with them trying to ramp it up, if people just gave up on it too soon, because you
I know
sit
I
down
did.
and watch it on Netflix and finish it off, and toward the end you see how that story's developing, and you're at the end you're like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah, when I attempted to watch the first season episodically, I think I gave it 5 episodes, and I was just not into it. And then everybody was like, no, you got to watch one more. That's where it takes off. And sure enough, you watch. I think it's the 6th episode, and it's like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it literally is a living part of the Marvel, universe as far as the Avengers go. It's everything that's happened in all the individual Avenger Heroes movies and such since that TV show started has had some place in that TV show. Like one of the episodes starts with them going back to London after the events of the second Thor movie. With them, kind of helping pick things up and investigate it and all that sort of stuff, and my wife found something online, where you can actually watch all the stuff like Peggy Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the different movies in a certain timeline to watch them, in the exact.
Oh, I love geeks.
Yeah, the exact timeline that they occur. So yeah, I love the fact that it's really woven into the universe. I think they could do it a little bit more than they have. I really kind of the only person from the movies they've had on really is Sam Jackson, as far as I know. Again, this is not having seen much of this season yet so far.
Yeah.
But I would love to see Iron Man show up for 5 minutes or Falcon or the Winter Soldier or anybody from the movies just show up for a minute or two, or just be walking by in the background in a scene.
Yeah. Well, and they did the same thing with Daredevil and Jessica Jones. They make references to the attack in New York and what the other Avengers are doing and how they're impacted by it or not, and their associations with them, and very good writing on those shows.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they weave in Jessica Jones and Daredevil and Luke Cage because I'm pretty sure they're going towards a movie where they're all in it as the Defenders. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they layer that all in together.
Yeah, I'd love to see more Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Did you see Jessica Jones, Mark?
I have watched I think, where was I at in the series? I was at the point where she ended up staying at her childhood house with
oh God,
with him, and I don't remember how much more was left of this season.
Oh, not much.
Yeah, I'm a really bad TV watcher for the most part.
Yeah.
Even when it is, I can sit down and watch the whole thing. I don't know why that is. I think in this case maybe it's because I'm liking the show and I don't want it to end, so I stop, and then we'll come back and watch the rest of it when it's closer to time for the next season to come out.
Yeah. Well, we're transitioning really well into what all we're currently watching. What are you watching right now, Mark, if anything?
Just The Walking Dead, which is part of another part of what we were going to talk about.
Yeah. And yay, Regina's caught up.
I know, I'm up to date on it for the first time ever.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. So you finally got past the scene where Beth dies.
Yeah.
And
spoilers, everybody.
Oh, it's so
that's
old.
2 seasons. That's 2 seasons ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we couldn't talk about things that happened 2 seasons ago when you were caught up. Remember?
Well, yeah, but I'm on the show.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm tired of people going spoilers. Well, what was the last one you watched? 3 seasons ago? Oh, piss off.
Yeah.
I watched seasons as soon as they came out on Netflix, so I would watch them as soon as I could. But yeah, now I'm up to date. Yeah, so I got past Beth and I got into Alexandria and
Terminus.
And Terminus. Well, Terminus was such a blip. I thought it was going to be this huge thing, and then it ended up being 2 episodes.
Yeah, it really was a footnote with all the build-up.
Yeah, it was this big thing it was going to be, and then all of a sudden it was only, very briefly that they were there, and it before the that episode ended, I knew that they were cannibals. Like, as soon as everybody walked up and they were, like, handing meat out to strangers, I was like, they've got to be eating people. I mean, there's not much
It was
livestock
nice to
just
see
hanging around.
Kasha
And,
Yor
like,
cook up some human burgers.
yeah, here, have a leg to chew on. You know, it's just like they have to be. They just have to be. But anyway.
So what does everybody think of last week's episode?
It's intense.
It was intense.
It was great.
I thought it was awesome.
I, for a sec, thought that Carl had died.
I thought that whole sequence was a dream, or somebody playing it out in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, this is all
it did
just in
seem
that
that way,
kid's
didn't
head
it?
or something. I thought Carl died for a second, because that, I don't know, the CGI, I don't know if it was CGI or what, but
The
I
way
thought
they
he
did
like
his
shoot through
eye.
I thought he'd been shot for sure, and then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm done. And then I was like, no, I'll keep watching, because this can't be happening. And then everything
real.
Really? Really, your threshold for stopping watching the show is
apparently it was Carl. I don't know. It traumatized me.
The rest of the world is like, if Daryl dies, we riot. But you're like, no, not Carl.
I think if Carol or Carl died, maybe.
Carol would be a deal breaker, I think, for me too.
No, she's gonna die. I just have a feeling. I don't know, because I haven't watched or read the comic books, but I just feel like she's going to go out in a blaze of glory at some point. The way
she will, because she's not at all like she was in the comic books. In the comic books, she committed suicide in the prison.
Oh, I don't like that.
No.
Yeah. And she
different
never
character.
was a badass. She never gained any sort of resolution or stamina or anything. She just fell apart, and so they've definitely made her something different.
Wow, she is definitely not that character.
And I think they did fine with her. I mean, Carol in the comic was not likable. She wasn't usable. She was at a dead end, and they had to get rid of her. And I think they've created a nice story with her on the show. Now, what happened to Carl happened exactly in the comic book.
Yeah.
So I was expecting that, and I was hoping for that. I was hoping they were going to do that, because it was time for Carl to be able to have, to me, visually, this kind of badass appearance.
What? Yeah, with the patch. What? I didn't hear what he said either.
Oh, I said, it's time that he had his own wound.
Yeah.
He had his own wound, though. He's been shot twice now.
I know. He shot more than his dad. And I keep waiting to figure out if they're ever going to actually just keep teasing about Rick's hand being injured, or if they're really ever going to actually chop off his hand.
No, I think they said that they're not going to, just because it would be such a problem, just budget-wise, to
have him be handless.
Yeah, be handless.
CG that out every time.
Yeah, it's one thing to put an eye patch on somebody.
Yeah, I think that's why he's growing. That's why they had him grow his hair out, so he could just be all broody and cover up the bandage. Much
I don't
easier.
know, guys. I don't know.
You know what I loved about that episode?
What?
I absolutely loved Negan's henchman.
Oh, God.
Just getting
That was so good.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God!
fantastic.
I'm like watching this, going, "How's this going to play out? Are they really going to kill off? What's his name? The redheaded guy and
Abraham?
yeah,
Abraham, yeah.
and the gal that was with him up front there is like, are they really going to kill them off?" I'm just watching, and then the guy's like, "Am I going to do it? Oh, I'm going to do it!" And then boom! I'm like, "Oh, yes!
I laughed. I
That
had to
was
stop
delightful."
and laugh.
Yep.
Chew on that.
It was fantastic. It was so fantastic.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed
that's where the music
the
came from.
tension that they built in the very beginning of the show, just with the music, and they were cutting back and forth between the different areas. But that music was underlined the whole time, and it made me think of the way that they did the Dark Knight.
Yeah, but with the Joker.
With the Joker, with that real low whining sound. It's like, oh man, it's real good tension builder.
Very good. It was very good. And I mean, you're in a situation. It's like, okay, so if they do kill Abraham or the girl, what's Daryl going to do? Because that raises extreme tension with everybody because the audience loves Daryl so much. It's like, are they going to just, they have to knock him out and go away or something because Daryl's just going to go all Daryl on him or something.
Was I the only one that thought as soon as they, like, walked away with him alone, I'm like, okay, they're done. Like, I was, like, as soon as they started walking him to the back of the thing, I'm like, well, nothing bad's going to happen to Daryl that we don't see. Because everybody loves him too much. So as soon as he started walking away, I was like, okay, well, all these guys are going to die. I don't know how they're all going to die. Like, I forgot. See, I'm actually a little annoyed, to be perfectly honest. I don't think this episode should have been the mid-season premiere. I think it should have ended the first half of this season.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Because
so much good stuff that happened at the end.
It's too much of a hopeful note to end on for Walking Dead.
Well, and I would have been. I think that would have been different for Walking Dead, and that would have been more intriguing for me. I felt like there was so much emotion and so much minutia of the story that you had to remember that didn't carry through however many weeks it's been. What, 4 weeks, 5 weeks? There was too much. There was too much minutia in the story that I had to, like, struggle constantly to remember.
I did have that problem too. I was like, who are these people? What happened?
I'm like, why am I, why, and it had been too long. I would have cared more about the deaths of the blonde and her kids had it been at the end of the season before, because there would have been more continuity of emotion with them, because they were too new to have them die so brutally. And I was moderately, I'm a little more sensitive to violence in TV and movies now than I used to be, and that has a lot to do with becoming a mom. But it was a hard scene to watch, but I didn't care about those characters, and I think I would have cared more about them had the continuity of that part of the story not had this gigantic gap of time. And I think that was actually a really poor choice on their part in terms of the narration and the storytelling to make that not. Because if it had ended on that, like, hopeful note, I think I would have been like, wow, like, this is completely different from them as instead of the gag or of, oh my God, what's happening? And they're about to walk out into zombies, like, again. I don't know.
No, I think I agree with Isabella. I think if you end on that hopeful note, it's not right. It's not right for a cliffhanger on.
I don't know, but I
agree. One season where they ended at the prison, right, and everything wasn't completely.
When they were farming and everything.
But they always end up kind of showing what the next threat is over the horizon, though, a little bit. They always give you a peek.
A little bit.
And I think they have to end with a threat. And I wonder, I'm really curious as to how much they take into the account the comic book audience, because that mid-season cliffhanger was even a bigger cliffhanger for me, because I knew what happened in that scene. And with the TV show, you never know whether they're going to do it or not.
Right.
Are they going to follow through and let the boy and the mom get killed or not? Because that's not the point at which... Yeah, that is the point at which Carl gets shot, I think.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But it's not the person that shoots him. So there was a lot of changes, and so you never know. And so the cliffhanger was even bigger for me, because I'm like, oh my God, is everybody going to start dying now or not? So I don't know. But it's just evidence of the good writing and the good storytelling that we're able to talk about the characters the way that we do, and the
I agree. Yeah.
The events and stuff. Now, I do have to say, I think that the ending of last week's episode with Rick talking to Carl in bed and the hand, I thought that was heavy-handed and cheesy.
A little bit.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to show you a new world, Carl.
Yeah, we're going to make a new world together. I was just like, yeah, to be perfectly honest, you know what the first thought that I had when it ended? The first thing I thought was, oh my God, The Walking Dead just jumped the shark. Like, seriously, the first words that went through my head was, this, it's over. Like, it's downhill from here. And I was just, and a part of it, like I said, was that gap of time between those stories,
Yeah.
like just the continuity of the emotion, just it made everything fall flat to a degree for me through a lot of the stories. I was pissed that Glenn was in a corner again by zombies and magically gets like they shoot 20 zombies off him instantly. Come on, I mean, I can suspend my disbelief to a great degree,
It
but
wasn't instantly. It was a little faster, not
okay,
quite
30
as
seconds.
fast.
30 seconds of
Well,
shots to get 20 horde of zombies off him. And
Yeah, but it was Abraham,
Yeah.
They
That was a
just got
great
them blown
shot
up
with him
like
up on
10
top of that
people,
wall.
so,
That
man,
was
what was 20
awesome.
zombies?
Was anybody else happy that the mom and the two kids died? Because I was. That was another one of those ones where, yay!
I didn't care. I honestly didn't care.
I didn't care.
Yeah, I didn't
Just
have
because I
enough.
thought it was a bad decision, to be honest.
I just felt like I just felt like Rick doesn't need the distraction.
No, he doesn't. They were going to have to go.
Yeah, that I agree with that too. Like I didn't foresee them being, as soon as they walked out there with the meat on and the through the horde of zombies with the little kid who was already like
Trauma.
post-traumatic stress. Yeah, as soon as he started saying mommy, I'm like, I bet he's dead. I'm like, there's no way we're not going to get through this. I didn't really need to see his throat bit by a zombie and his head bit and all that stuff. I didn't need to see any of that.
Yeah,
I thought the scene itself played out really well because they shot it in such a way that you didn't know, like there was no seeing the zombie come up behind anybody. It was this person going down, and then that person's helping this person. All of a sudden, the zombie out of nowhere bites them, and that was really cool scene. And also the really quick shots of
I love that
characters hitting at the zombies. I was like, wow, that's
Well, it gave you a feeling of the chaos in the mob.
Well, that, and I just loved the whole rallying of the community. Finally, everybody finally either getting killed or getting their shit together and getting on the survival train.
Yeah.
Especially the doctor. I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She finally gets it together and like, I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna save Carl. I think part of why it like traumatized me so bad with Carl is because I have two younger brothers, and so I feel very protective towards him. So I'm like, you can't kill Carl. But I didn't care. I didn't care about that kid, the other kid.
Because my whole thing has always been Carl can die and that will be just fine.
I wouldn't put it past them.
I wouldn't put it past him either.
I read or saw some sort of rumor. It was either somebody talking on YouTube or somebody posting somewhere, but that Andrew Lincoln is getting tired of being on the show and wants to be able to go back to England or whatever. Yeah, and be an actor or do whatever he wants to do. And
well, he should pay attention for how that worked for Will Wheaton when he left Star Trek.
Exactly. Will Wheaton.
It totally pitched his acting career into the trash. So
the difference is, though, this is a British actor, and they're like hand over fist, head and shoulders above any American actor in the world.
Then why don't they just let Carl take over for Rick?
Oh, please no.
Oh, good God, no.
Or Carol. How about Carol?
I'm going to play devil's advocate on the ending scene with Rick, because if you look at it, I mean, it was a bit cheese, but, you got to look at it this way. He went out there by himself and started hacking on zombies, and then the entire community comes to his rescue, which is what he'd been trying to accomplish for a long time.
Right.
And I think he got drunk on the emotion. Just like, you get a good buddy of yours and, like a bunch of beer, and all of a sudden they start, I love you, man. It's just, I think it was like an over-emotional time. And I think he just finally, he was drunk in the sediment of the whole thing. It's just like, you know.
No, it's a good
seeing
point.
everybody kind of come together.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think he
Yeah.
finally got it, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is a beautiful thing." Even though it
Well-
was cheesy, I will agree on the cheese, but I'm just defending on why I think they probably wrote that part in.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, and I'm always, as I say, I'm a glutton to finish the story. I always have to know how the story ends.
By the way, Glenn's going to die. And I think he's going to die this season.
You think so?
Oh, they've set him up for being dead twice now in 2
3
episodes.
times.
Yeah. Oh, 3 times.
Terminus.
Yeah. But even more so just in this season, like really close to being dead. And
he's going to be a father, and
so now's the perfect
super
time.
High.
And he's the moral compass of the group, so that means he's dead.
And they are a favorite geek couple.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody loves Glenn and Maggie.
Yep. So, blunt your hats.
I don't think that the shark has jumped yet. If they do what if Negan comes out the way that he should, the bad guy in the show, if they play that right, I think that they'll be okay. But I do have to say that once Negan entered the scene, after he came in and terrorized Alexandria and killed Glenn and apparently subjugated Rick, that the comic got tedious. It was constantly, how are we going to take care of this guy? How are we going to take care of this guy? We're going to do an alliance with these people. We're going to do an alliance with these people. And just kept going on and on and on. And I'm just like, I feel like that they don't know what to do with this, and they're just dragging it out. So it'll be interesting to see what they do on the show.
Does anybody know how many more seasons they're renewed for?
I don't.
No.
Sometimes that can be an indication. So if we don't know and they haven't been like, X number more seasons of The Walking Dead, maybe that's an indication that they're sort of starting the wind up of the show. I don't know.
Interesting.
Or maybe that's part of the reason why they launched Fear the Walking Dead.
I saw an interesting thing by the film theorist on YouTube, and he's come up with a theory that the actual amount of time that is left for the zombies to be even on the planet because they're rotting is like 200 and some odd days or something like that. And he said, and his theory is that the production people know this because that's what they've been doing all along. If you watch all the zombies as time goes by, and he said that's why this season you have basically taking up all of 2 days. When you think about it, we've only seen basically 2 or 3 days for the whole season so far. He said, so, when you get to season 15, they'll be up in the Antarctic, and it'll be like a 12-hour.
24.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name will show up?
Jack Bauer.
Yeah.
I'm looking right now to see if they've been renewed. Future seasons. They have a pretty good idea of what season 10 is going to be. And they have an idea of where seasons 11 and 12 will be. So.
And see, they're going to have a problem with Carl if they have a whole season or half a season that's only 2 days. I mean, at the age that actor is
growing up.
Yeah. I mean, he's already way past the actual age of the kid in the book,
I don't know how old Carl is supposed to be on the show anymore.
Like
14, 15 maybe?
No, he's not that old.
No?
Well, he was like, I mean, the last time isn't that
baby.
much. It's been what?
I think on the film theorist, he said the elapsed time is 500 and some odd days.
Right, I was going to say a year and a half, and he was like 10 or 11
Yeah,
when the show started. So he should be 13. I mean, the actor who plays him is what, 16 or 17?
Yeah.
So.
And you can tell the age differences then. I mean, when they grow up, that is so.
Yeah, I saw somebody actually put a shot-by-shot comparison of Carl when he had been shot in Herschel's season on the farm, and
yeah,
and this one, and I was like, because I wasn't sure how much time had been elapsed, but I didn't think it was enough to be between.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else interesting out there you guys are watching? Is you else, Regina?
No, I haven't.
You look shocked that I asked you. You're like.
I know.
She caught up on The Walking Dead.
Talking to me.
That's all she had to do.
But no, I was. There's only like one other show I'm currently keeping up with, and I never talked about it on K1 Girls.
Oh, are you embarrassed?
Now you have to say.
Oh my God, is it worse than Dancing with the Stars?
I don't know. It
She's
depends
keeping
on
up with the Kardashians, guys.
Worse. It's not any. It's not reality TV. It's a show called Jane the Virgin.
Oh my God, I watched Jane the Virgin too.
I absolutely love that show. The writing is outstanding. The characters are great. The acting is superb. I mean, I was just like, I put it on Netflix and was like, whatever this is, I just wanted background noise one day, and I'm like, and I found myself because sometimes this is gonna sound bad. Sometimes I work and have the TV on as kind of background noise because it's it's lonely when you work at home, and I had it on and I stopped working at one point and I'm just like riveted to the show, and I'm like, oh, this can't be a behind the scenes show. I actually have to watch this show.
Yeah.
So I love it. That's the only other show that I'm currently up to date with. But I think it's really good.
It is. It's a very smart show.
It is a very smart show. It's a very smart show. So I wasn't sure anybody else would be watching it though, because it's so ridiculous.
It is, but
it's a telenovela.
Yeah. It is a telenovela. Yeah.
It's fun.
So. It is fun. See, the guys are just like.
What?
Yeah, it's definitely not a guy show.
That yawn was not in reaction to your show.
Yes, I make no judgment.
Are you watching anything else, Ryan?
Shameless, the X-Files reboot, which I think the last episode of that is happening today, possibly. I wasn't watching Walking Dead until I had to talk about it on this show, and then I was trying to cram it in right before we came on, which I'm glad I did. It was a really good episode. But, no, nothing super new and exciting.
What do you think of the X-Files?
I mean, it's good. It's the same as it was before. I mean, they really don't seem like they've aged a bunch since where the show left off. I mean, if you look at them from like the pilot to now, yeah, they definitely look older. But Gillian Anderson
is ageless.
Still looks this. Yeah, she really is. It does seem like she is ageless, and David Duchovny doesn't. I mean, he looks a little bit older, but the guy is still pretty fit looking.
I was surprised with Skinner.
Yeah, and Skinner looks the same, just different colored hair.
Yeah, exactly.
He's become very white in his age. But I mean, all the characters are good. I think it's been a really cool little run of shows. And the comedy shows, which were normally in the middle of the seasons of the X-Files, they've had a couple of those kind of back to back, and they were pretty funny. So
episode 3.
What
was that, Regina?
Where the Mulder was on mushrooms. That one, I haven't watched them. I saw some people writing about him. Was reading some articles.
A buddy of mine says a little bit of Hank Moody came into Mulder.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody had ever seen Californication?
Yeah.
It was kind of a cross of those two characters, which was kind of funny.
I saw gifs of him dancing in that episode.
Wait, you mean a GIF?
A GIF, yeah, an animated.
An animated GIF?
GIF?
Yeah.
GIF.
Okay.
GIF.
GIF.
Okay.
GIF.
GIF. So I gotta ask.
Butter. GIF is an animation.
Okay.
I have to ask everybody who's watched the relaunch of X-Files. Is it the same old government alien conspiracy bullshit?
No, they actually address it in the very first episode, and well, I mean, the theory of what it is. They kind of address it, and then they kind of leave it alone, or they've left it alone the last 4 episodes. They've all been kind of individual episodes, but there's a backstory, Mulder and Scully backstory that kind of keeps playing out throughout the different episodes about their kid, and kind of where their relationship went after they left him.
I've heard the government thing is going to come back though at the end.
Oh, I'm sure it will. It has to. But
see,
I thought it was really smart how they kind of built that storyline. Compared, and I didn't watch the last 2 or 3 seasons of the series. Once David Duchovny left, I was pretty much done. But the way that they did the government conspiracy thing in this new refresh, I thought, wow, that makes a lot of sense. So they could totally end it, with that storyline in mind, and I'd be okay with it.
I really liked the X-Files the first season or 2 that it was on, when they weren't really doing the government conspiracy crap. And then once they got all about that, I was just like, okay, I'm done. So maybe I'll have to go check out the new stuff then.
Yeah, I think it's only supposed to be 6 episodes, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was 5. Oh, so there's, yeah.
No, it's hard. They've already had 5, so this would be the 6th one tonight.
Okay.
Does anybody think there's a possibility that they're going to do another season depending on the reception of this one? Or is it
I doubt it.
I don't know.
I thought the first episode was really, really horrible. I just thought it was a patchwork of nonsense. It just didn't make any sense. I think episodes 2 and on are what this reboot or rebirth was about. They made me laugh, and to your point, Mark, it's not about government conspiracies. They are the characters appear a little more aged. They're having a little bit, Mulder actually goes through a crisis of belief, where it's like, all this stuff I used to track down has been explained. And he's like, I don't have a point anymore, and they kind of make fun of each other and go through the old song and dance and kind of laugh at each other about it, even though they know, they're processing stuff. To me, episode 2 on, you can start with that. Yeah,
Okay.
I disagree.
That's the way it should have been.
I said I disagree.
I know.
No,
I thought the way that they explained the whole conspiracy thing in the first episode, I was like, sweet. Now they can, they've gotten it out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense.
They did.
I think they had to have it because there's.
I think the way they explained it was great.
Split.
They explained it was great, but the way they put that episode together was crap. It was poorly made. That first episode was poorly made, and you had to really, really use tweezers and go through all that storytelling mess to figure out. Finally, at the end, it's like, oh, okay, this is what this is. And it's like, that's a cool idea, but boy, it was painful getting here.
Yeah.
So.
Meh. We're just going to differ on this one.
Oh, yeah. That's not unusual, Brian. That's not unusual. Let's see. Isabella, are you watching anything else?
Yeah, I've been staying up to date on iZombie.
Oh, still watching that one.
Really like. I basically just watch it for Liv and the crazy things she does. Elementary, Grimm. That's about it, really. It's not a lot for me, but I have a lot less spare time than I used to. So.
Yeah. Mark, did I ask you?
I think you did. I think.
Yeah, you started with Mark, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
No, I started with you.
Into the. Actually, you started with Mark, then he said Walking Dead, and then we talked about.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
That's pretty much it for me. I don't watch a lot of television as it happens, mainly because I can't stand advertising. So.
Oh yeah, I stream everything. I mean, that's I do everything on Hulu or Netflix or. Oh, that's a question I was going to ask you guys. Okay, so each of you, which services do you subscribe to, if any? Netflix, Amazon, Hulu.
I have Netflix and Amazon, but we're probably going to get rid of Amazon when our subscription comes up, because I don't really feel like they have enough on there to really be worth it.
What about you, Ryan?
I have Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime. I don't use Amazon Prime for the TV. I use it for the 2-day shipping. But and that's just something that comes with it. I actually canceled my cable about a week ago now. As soon as football was over, which I got to ask you, how was that Cam Newton fit treating you?
Oh,
of course.
To me, he got his just desserts.
Good for you.
He got his just desserts. I wanted to see, because Carolina was on, the national stage, I wanted to see them play a game. But I knew this was going to come full circle.
I don't know exactly what you guys are talking about. I had actually, I know Cam Newton's kind of a dork, but I was actually hoping that they would win just because they had played such a good season. That was all I was hoping for.
Me too, but I think that I don't think that their season. I was always worried that their season didn't test them enough to be ready for the Super Bowl.
It was a terrible football game. It doesn't really matter. Both teams did not play well.
Oh,
the defense of both teams played well, but it was just a terrible football game.
It was nothing but a defensive game completely.
Yeah.
On both sides, but I think it was a wake-up call that Cam Newton needed. And I think I've also. I've never liked Cam Newton, but I have gained a little bit more appreciation for his personality type. His personality type is very hard for anybody to take. And he has got to learn to embrace the positives of that personality type and why it's gotten him to where it has, but understand where he crosses the line with it, where he is a bad sportsman. And I think that he leads that team in some ways in confidence, but in some ways in some bad sportsmanship. So I'm hoping this is a great lesson for them.
Quarterback being super loud and boisterous. I can't say that I don't like all football players too, because I really like Richard Sherman and the way he speaks out. But
yeah,
defensive for the Seahawks for everybody else was like, who? But anyway, it completely derailed your question.
It was a boring game, and it was a defensive game purely, and I was shocked that they tanked as badly as they did, but I wasn't going to be shocked if they lost.
And now back to your regularly scheduled Game On Girl.
We had a little football break there.
Game On Girl is diverse.
It's a different gaming.
We talk about everything.
I know, and I don't mind it at all. I watch football from time to time because you can't not do that in Wisconsin, because then you're a Philistine.
Isabella, do you subscribe to any services?
Mostly just Netflix. I use Hulu, but most of the stuff I watch there you don't have to pay for. Right. So, and I get HBO Go. I use HBO Go.
Okay.
When Game of Thrones time comes around. Okay. That's pretty much it.
And Regina?
I have Amazon Prime, which I use quite a bit actually, and Netflix, and I have Hulu, and I recently paid for the upgrade on Hulu, so I don't have any commercials on it anymore.
It's so nice.
Oh my god, it is lovely. It was like $3 more a month, and I'm like, this was worth every penny.
Yeah. Well, watch 2 shows without commercials. It's like paid off.
Yes. Yep.
Given that, the Super Bowl actually reminded me of this, and some other things. YouTube Red is a subscription service. So how many subscription services are you going to pay for? How many more are
YouTube
you going
Red.
to add?
I will add HBO Now when Game of Thrones comes out
Yeah.
in April.
You know why? Because she was using my my HBO Go, and now I don't have it anymore. So there.
Well, to be fair, I was using Julie's. Hi, Julie. I was using Julie's to begin with. She was the one who got me started.
I know, and then she ditched you, so then now I ditched you.
Yeah, I know, and then everybody ditched me, and now I'll actually have to pony up and pay for it. But I'm willing to do that now that they have it. So
I also have to pay for it.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
So now that they have it, so you can just have HBO Now as opposed to HBO Go. HBO Now is the one you can have standalone. But I was thinking about that same question, Rhonda, actually with Amazon, because Amazon now has a deal where you can add like premium content to Amazon Prime TV as well. So you can add like Stars and some other networks onto it. And I think Showtime might be in there too. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I was thinking.
Part of, I think Showtime's part of Hulu.
Is it? Okay, they might have probably owned by the same people. But anyway, that basic idea of like how many of these are we going to do? And I know for me, we're probably not going to do anything more than this, because I feel like I get my current TV with Hulu, and there's a lot of good kids programming on Amazon Prime. That's the reason why I tend to watch more on there, and pretty much everything else on Netflix, I guess. So.
But it's sort of following the pattern that customers have been screaming about with cable all along, though, is that we would like to pick and choose.
Yeah, being able to customize.
A la carte.
Yep, a la carte, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the FCC just came out with a ruling that like any provider can, or anybody can provide the set-top box for cable. Like it's not against the law for that to happen. So that's gonna kind of break it wide open, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yes.
Because one of the reasons I canceled my cable, not because we didn't like watching television, though it was extremely expensive, but the interface is so crap when it comes to cable boxes, when it comes to their recording stuff. It's always glitchy, but you're still paying the same large price for it.
Or your premium, you're paying a premium for a,
And I still had Hulu and Amazon Prime and Netflix, and so I was paying for everything. I was just like, you know what, forget this. I'm not going to give them my money anymore if their service isn't going to match their price.
Right.
It's exactly why we also got rid of our cable. It just got too expensive for something.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I've enjoyed, or I originally started doing Amazon and Amazon Prime, because they do have some of the episodes on there that are from HBO and stuff like that. You have to pay for them individually, but that's what I wanted from the cable station. I wanted to be able to go out there and say, I'll buy this whole season, or, well, I've heard good things about this, I'll buy episode 1 and see if I like it.
Right.
And that way I'm actually doing what I want to be doing to begin with, and just paying for exactly what I want to watch.
Right, and we've been able to do that through iTunes for a long time, but I don't really want to own the TV shows.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't mind buying the movies off of there because I watch them a lot, but the fact of buying a TV season, chances are I'm not going to go back and watch it, and it'll be on Netflix or one of the services I already pay for eventually.
Right.
So.
Yeah, unless it's a cable show, that's not always the case necessarily. And also, especially if you wait for it to be on Netflix, I mean, it could be forever.
Yeah, but if you've already seen it, I mean, well, yeah, all right, I see what you're saying, but like, I don't want to buy it and have it sitting on my digital service forever. I don't need to spend, because it's like $3 an episode. For those shows. Oh, well. Regardless, but a lot of times, if you don't mind sitting through a few of the ads, like with Walking Dead, I just watched it off the AMC website before the show started.
Yeah.
And there was only a couple 30-second commercials in there, which I can think about other things while those are on. So, and I didn't have to pay anything for it.
Well, but the thing about it is, with cable, which is what I'm comparing it to, compared to cable, you pay for cable, and you never own any of those episodes. You can never go back and rewatch any of that. ever.
You can. I mean, because the cable service, like depending on which one you have, has on-demand capability for a lot of those shows.
That's right. That's right.
But even
Or you
that
could
is
DVR
usually
'em.
just limited.
Yeah,
Like,
because
they'll have
It's
like
limited and
2,
it's
3
really clunky. Just
episodes.
the interface
Yeah.
is clunky and it's not smooth
Terrible.
and it's just you're pushing
And I
pushing
mean,
like
if you
50 buttons to get to an episode. It's like, come on.
and if you tally it out and you say, you know, I'm paying an enormous amount of money for cable a month, how much are you watching and how much do each of those episodes cost compared to what you watch that month? Are you spending $2 per episode? Where I'm spending a lot less money per month, I'm not spending it for cable, and I'm watching exactly what I want. I don't care that I own it or not.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That's how I feel too.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
And to
that
your
doesn't
point,
matter.
you could buy an entire season, and you could buy like 3 seasons, and that's like a month of cable right there.
Yep.
Like the cost of, I was paying monthly for cable with the subscription that I had. I could buy 3 seasons of episodes at like $40 a piece, and it still would equal what I was paying like in a month just for the TV portion of my cable service. Not even the internet part.
Well, are you paying for the HD versions of those?
Of the episodes?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't buy the episodes just because I don't really want them attached.
I just bought the entire second season of Penny Dreadful, and it cost me $19.
For the standard definition version.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I can't not watch things in HD. It drives me. So.
But the price difference is usually not that bad though. I mean, I can't remember what they were charging for the full version. It was I think it was under 25. It wasn't 40. That's my point. It wasn't $40.
Well, I think it's like $44 for the whole season of The Walking Dead for what's played of season 6 and what's gonna come, down the road. So, and I was thinking about that because my wife had watched it last week and I didn't because I was protesting and it was stupid. But it's like, I'm canceling my cable. I'm just going to cut the cord and not watch this anymore. And then Mark had to say we're going to talk about it, and he ruined it. Way to go!
Well, what were you protesting, the cable or Walking Dead?
Well, I think I had mentioned it in a previous episode that I was somewhat losing, some of the what I loved about the show in the first place. I was getting a little tired of it. This could be the last season, or the next season could be the last season. I'd be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice when seasons don't drag on just for the sake of the fan base.
Yeah.
Because eventually it just gets stale, and I was kind of having that feeling altogether with television, and so I was just I hadn't started the second half of the season, so I didn't care all that much, and now I care again, and I blame you.
Well, you gotta admit, I've been feeling that same way too, but a lot of it's been because of them having characters do things that I think are opposite of what they've established as being that character, and so I've been on the fence now for this season and pretty much all of last season, and my wife's
It's exhausting.
Yeah, my wife's the same way too. She's just like, I'm like, okay, when Glenn was trying to find Maggie, in my world, Glenn was never stupid enough that he would have gone into the crumbling tunnel of zombie doom, because that's the shortcut to finding Maggie. The Glenn that they set up, in the first 2-3 seasons was this guy who's really smart, and he's survived as long as he has by not doing stupid shit. And just because he's in love now, he's going to do stupid shit. I'm like, no. If you had half a brain in your head, you go, yes, I love this girl, and if I want to get to her and be sure that I get to her, then probably the smart thing to do is to go around. It's not going to take me that much time to go around a tunnel,
Yeah.
In the scheme of things. So that's just like one of the examples I could give, but there's been several in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and it just pisses me off to no end. And I've kind of been feeling like, I don't know, maybe I should give it up, and the wife's feeling the same way, and then they do an episode like this last one where I was like going, holy shit, that was awesome!
Yeah, it was a good episode. It really was.
But now we'll see what they're going to do for like the next 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't really have anything good to say about Fear the Walking Dead. I thought that show was a train wreck up until.
I still have yet to see the last two episodes of the season. I was just kind of like, meh.
Yeah, it just was.
I wanted to like it. I really did.
I did too. I wanted to see how this whole thing goes down. That's to me is what's fun, is seeing how it happens and how things deteriorate. But I just can't put up with the characters in this show. God.
Yeah, the characters weren't great in that one.
Yeah.
I hate to be Debbie Downer, guys.
Whatever.
But we have to wrap up.
Uh-oh.
All right, so all we got to do is get past what we're reading and what we're playing really quickly.
All right.
Go. Simultaneously, go.
Yeah, all at once. I am reading The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan, who did the Percy Jackson series. It's a complementary series in that same universe.
And how are you liking it so far?
I really like it.
Okay,
So
great.
fun.
Regina, what are you reading?
That was Regina.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rhonda.
This is why Mark isn't the host.
He gets confused. He gets very confused sometimes.
It was a good effort, Mark. Don't let
It
him.
was.
Keep trying.
Yeah, I'll keep trying. Let me go put my helmet on.
I've been reading almost exclusively comic books lately. My attention span has been really, really short, and but I'm okay with that. Like I mentioned, I went back and started reading some of the classical Deadpool, and I'm also reading classic Suicide Squad. I went back to the beginning when Suicide Squad was created, and I love, like you said, Mark, I love knowing how those things came about.
Yeah.
Isabella?
Right now I'm reading a book called 52 Cups of Coffee by Megan Gebhardt. She goes around and has a cup of coffee a week with just complete strangers all over the world. It's pretty interesting, different from what I usually read.
That is cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Ryan, are you reading anything?
No, but they are coming out with a new Harry Potter book, which I hope is good.
It's not a book.
Uh-oh.
It's not a book. It's a script for a play.
Oh.
Make sure you're talking about the same thing.
Oh gosh, what is it called now?
I know it's going to be a play, but they're supposed to put out a book simultaneously with the play.
But is it an actual book or just?
Yeah, it's an actual book.
It's a book, yeah.
Okay.
Don't crush my dreams. Don't crush my Harry Potter dreams.
My dreams before they even happened.
What's it called? What's
Who
it
cares?
called?
I can't
I don't know.
remember.
I don't remember.
My wife was telling me about it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Because I tore through those books. I enjoyed them so much. But I'm also listening to Secondhand Souls, which is the sequel to Christopher Moore's Dirty Job. So,
I haven't read that one, actually. I haven't read that one.
I'm about halfway through it.
What do you think?
It picks up right where it left off. All the characters are the same from where they were before, so there's some good familiarity with it. And I don't know, it's been a while. I put it down for a little while, so I'm not going to be able to think of it on the fly. I'm just going to quit one ahead.
I like Dirty Jobs. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Mark, are you reading anything?
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I was reading Secondhand Souls and kind of stopped reading it about chapter 8 for some reason. I kind of go in spurts where I am a voracious reader and I just devour things, and then for another 6 months I'm not interested. I'm not reading anything currently, but what I'm looking at reading soon is the Stephen King novel 11/22/63, since they have that.
That's a good one. Oh yeah, I am watching that, and I will say the first episode of that, very true to the book, and I was not disappointed by the characters and who they picked, and it's a good book. It's a little bit lengthy. They definitely could have cut some stuff out of the book to make it a little more streamlined, but really good story. Kind of a cool time travel story.
Yeah. I was surprised. John turned that on the other night. I was surprised that I liked it because I tend to not like the historical type stuff. And I don't like James Franco, but that was good.
Well, and Stephen King stories that are turned into TV movies or TV series or just general movies are really hit and miss. I mean, there's way more bad ones than there are good ones.
Yes. Yes. What are you guys playing, Regina?
I'm playing Hive, both live and in person, and on my phone. There's an app that you can play. It's a
There's an app for that.
There's an app for that. It's a two-person strategy game. It's a little chess-like, but it uses insects, and all the insects move differently, and you can move the tiles differently once you have them set up on the board. And you start.
Is that one that I played with you guys?
Yes, I was gonna say Ryan's played it here. We just got it. That was the first time. First time we played it. Yeah, and you can get on your phone.
I'm lost if I remember correctly.
So do you play with friends on your phone or play by yourself?
You can do both.
Okay.
In general, I've only been playing by myself because I was still kind of learning the rules for it. But it is interesting, strategy-wise, if you want to force a draw, if you want to force it so that nobody can win, because you're trying to protect the queen of your hive, essentially. And so in the app, you can't actually start with your queen because the likelihood of a draw is so high when you start with your queen. So if you want to cheat in real life, just start with your queen.
What about you, Mark? Are you playing anything?
I am currently, I've been playing the new XCOM 2. I don't remember if it actually has a subtitle to it or not, but been playing that. They did a really good job on that. I've been playing a lot of 7 Days to Die with Ryan's brother, actually, and they're supposed to be putting out another big update for that here sometime in the next month or so, supposedly. And I've been playing a lot of Path of Exile, getting ready for their expansion that's going to drop here in a couple of weeks.
And 7 Days to Die, I don't know why I haven't heard of that. What is that?
You never read my column.
I was like, I know what that is.
It's kind of like Walking Dead meets Minecraft, except for much better graphics, and the zombies in 7 Days to Die are a lot more scary when they get the jump on you than the zombies in Minecraft. But
okay.
Scary or aggravating?
A little.
I think I may be with you, Ryan. Or what are you playing, Ryan?
Well, I did buy the new Rise of Tomb Raider when it came out for PC, just to let it crash on me every hour or so. So I'm currently not playing that until they fix whatever issue. Hopefully they fix, because it's a great game, and it gets you involved just enough, and then the game crashes and just really makes you angry. But I'm going to be getting back into Fallout 4 a little bit. The expansions are coming down the line, and thanks to Rhonda playing the Division beta, I downloaded that and was trying it today, and after this, Mark and Trev and I are all going to get on and try the co-op together.
Oh, cool.
Which you're more than welcome to join us, Rhonda.
Oh, that I may be co-opt out. I don't know, but it would be interesting to play with some new people. We played that all weekend because this weekend happens to be my husband's birthday, and also
happy birthday, John.
And also beta weekend, and he said, it's like, hey, do you want to go meet up with friends? Do you want to go do that? I want to play beta. All right, that's what we'll do. And so we played that quite a bit Friday night and yesterday, and it is a good game. It is really good.
It's different. I mean, I was really impressed with the way that the graphics and the user interface and stuff like that works on. It's kind of different than what I've done recently. So
I sort of saw it as like a combination of World of Warcraft and Diablo. I think the RPG version and also the massive group raiding, because you've got the dark zone and then you've got the outside area where all the missions are. It's really interesting. It's going to hit a whole lot more gamer types. It's definitely very ambitious.
And it doesn't come with a subscription, which is nice.
Does not come with a subscription.
Holy crap, what? Well, I'm sure they'll find a way to monetize it somehow.
Oh, it'll have to be monetized, everything else. But
Yeah, why would you put out a game and expect people to pay good money for it and just play it? Why would you do that? I mean,
upside down world.
How about you, Isabel?
Most recently I finished Lifeline 2 by 3 Minute Games. It's like a text-based game on your phone where you get real-time updates. So sometimes you have to wait for it to come back. You're basically trying to save this person who you're like connected to through some, I don't know, thing that they just like hand wave away. Anyway, it's interesting.
I'm riveted.
It would take too long to explain the whole backstory. I recommend the first one, just the first Lifeline game, because
Well, you should get into it because Regina's trying to wrap us up, and you know.
Well, I was actually going to ask Isabella how her Settlers of Catan game turned out last night.
Well, spoiler, I lost. Of course, I don't win games. But it was fun. It was only like the second time I played Settlers, and let's just say I swore a lot, like pretty much every other time I play a board game. So
all about how you start and expand.
Someone was cornering the brick market, and just nothing was happening. It was very frustrating.
Was it Regina? Was Regina cornering the brick market?
No, it wasn't me.
No, it was just some other friends of mine.
See, it's better when you play Cards Against Humanity.
Yes, Isabella's other personality comes out.
Which apparently is just in sync with mine.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Actually, as a matter of fact, the last time I played Cards Against Humanity was with Isabella.
Yes.
That was a long time ago now, but.
Yeah,
man, that was a while.
That was a while ago. Yep.
All right, guys.
All right, I think that's it.
Yeah, it's been nice talking with you guys and catching up. We had a great pool of topics today.
We did have a great pool of topics. This is good. We did cover a lot of good
dead pool of topics.
A dead pool of topics.
Thank you, Isabella.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. Please make sure to check out gameongirl.com and leave us your feedback. And we're always glad for topics for these hangouts. So let us know what you'd like us to chat about.
We don't block comments.
We don't block comments. Until next time, get your geek on.
Come on.
Bye.